Recording now, this is lesson 5.6 on graphing algebraic or linear relations using Google Sheets. Now, the lesson video you would have watched before this video would have focused on graphing algebraic expressions or linear relations on paper. And the reason why we do it on paper first is that you understand the math behind how the graph and how the t-table is put together through the algebraic relation. This time, most of the work can be done for you easily using Google Sheets. So what you'll find during this video is you may have to pause the recording, go into Google Sheets and do the task, and go back into it. So right now, make sure that you have that template that's been posted on Google Classroom open. It should be called Patterns Using a Spreadsheet. So as you can see on this sheet, you've got a t-table here, and it's laid out similarly to how you would see it on paper. You've got your input values, which we're labeling n, and we've got our output values, which we're labeling 2n plus 10. So just as a reminder, 2n plus 10 means that you're multiplying the input number by 2 and then adding 10 to get the resulting output values. To create the graph on this t-table, all you need to do is you need to make sure that you're highlighting both columns, including the n and 2n plus 10 row. Do not highlight the input and output rows, just the n and 2n plus 10, and all the values need to be highlighted. You're going to click on the plus sign here at the top right hand corner, and you're going to click on chart. Now it'll default to a type of chart that the program wants you to display, but instead of doing a line chart, you'll have to do a scatter plot, because the scatter plot will clearly show that it is a straight line linear relation. Now, go back to type, and then what you want to do is make sure, we'll leave the legend in there. The titles, as you know on paper, you need to have the horizontal axis title. So in this case, we know our horizontal axis is input, or n. Update the title. As you can see, it's been updated on the view screen there. The left vertical axis title, or your y-axis, is going to be your output. Now in this case, it technically is y, but let's use what the linear relation is. So that would have been 2n plus 10. And then close the bracket, update the title. So as you can see, it's displayed for you on the chart there. You need an overall chart title. So we'll call this, as in the previous video, we'll call it n. N versus, or 2n plus 10. Actually, let's do 2n plus 10 versus n. 2n plus 10 versus n. All right, and then update the title. Now, the titles, we've done all of that. So we've got our overall title, we've got our axis labeled, we've got our legend. You can change the color if you want to. Let's change it to red so it's clear, and then we're done. So now it's the graph has been inserted into the spreadsheet, so you can change the size easily. Make sure it doesn't cover the t-tables here. I'm actually going to put it here down below, and I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so the only limitation with Google Sheets is that you're not able to have a line to connect the dots, but it clearly does show the algebraic relation. All the points are there. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can see everything. And that's how you graph a linear relation. Now, the next part of this mini assignment that you'll need to do, though, is you'll need to come up with your own algebraic relation or t-table. So I'm going to use a different one as an example, and I'll show you a shortcut as to how to set it up using formulas. So just a few columns over to the right from where the original input and output is, from n to n plus 10, you can create your own algebraic relation. So I have 2n plus 11 here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the column here, and I'm just going to paste it over here for my n, because I'm going to use the same n values. Okay, so I've got 0 to 15. Now, instead of calculating every single value of 2n plus 11, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a formula. The way you do this is the following. Notice how you read the cells here. So you read it, I'm right now currently highlighted in cell E3, okay? Now I want to calculate everything in this column though. So this column is D. Now, basically, what I want this cell to say is I want the answer to 2 multiplied by 0, which is the input, plus 11, right? Instead of typing in 11, I want it to read 2 times 0 plus 11 is 11. So I can enter in the formula. So I want to make it equal, okay? So I'm looking at the cell beside it. It's going to be D3, right? So now you can see you've done it properly as it's been highlighted in red. Now, I want this cell D3 multiplied by 2. In a show multiplication in a formula, you hit the asterisk sign and then hit 2. And then you simply add 11. And it should work once you press return. Now, okay, so we know that's the formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. We're going to take this formula and copy it, and then we're going to take it, and you can see that it's pasted the formula, okay? So all of the values have been filled in. Now look at it. Each one, if you look at cell E4, look at your formula. Is it correct? It's saying D4, which is this one, 1, times 2 plus 11 is 13. If you keep going, this equals D5, which is 2, times 2 is 4, plus 11 is 15, so you know you're right. And then you follow the same process. Once you filled out your t-table, follow the same process to set up the graph as in the previous example. So again, you label your input and your output columns, so basic term and then the algebraic relation relating the input to the output. Copy and paste your values for n and then set up a formula. Your formula should be two-step. Remember multiplication or division before addition and subtraction. And that's how you graph linear relations or algebraic expressions using Google Sheets.